Hi everyone, it's Stephen Semple, Wizard of Ads partner from Toronto, Canada. And what I want to talk about today, we talk about this a lot, especially with our heavy focus on radio and those types of media, is the power of words and the power of sound. So I'm going to share with you a television commercial that is a great demonstration of the element that sound and words brings. Now, this is a commercial that was created for the Ford Mustang when it was being launched in the UK.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had fought no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light.
Now, here's the crazy thing about that commercial. That commercial was banned. It was not actually allowed to be used in the UK because there was concerns that it would create aggressive driving. Now, here's the thing that's freaky about all of that. The car never went more than 15 miles per hour. It never went faster than 24 kilometers an hour. So when you're driving home today and you're pulling into your residential neighborhood, drive for a little while at 15 miles an hour and see really how slow that is. It'll be like kids in little tricycles. They'll be going past you. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to watch this commercial again without the sound. And you'll see the power that the sound and the words created in this ad. Without the sound, it's kind of boring. We were engaged in these things before, and it's not that it's particularly interesting shots. Now, really take a close look when you see the car pulling out of the underground parking and going down the road, and tell me this time, how fast do you think the car is going? So we're just about to get to the climax of the commercial. Now take a close look and watch the car. How fast is that car going? Completely different emotional feeling, and we're just not nearly as captivated. So the thing that got the governing body, the Advertising Council, all tied in the knots is when you watch the commercial with the sound and you listen to the narration, the do not go gently into that good night, and the chiming that was happening in the background, we could all feel our emotions kind of rise a little bit and get into this kind of disturbed state where, frankly, they had a bit of a point where you could see how that if you amp somebody up like that they actually might go out and tear around and drive overly aggressively in a car. But all of that emotion came from the words that were being spoken, the way it was being narrated, and the way the music was being used in conjunction with the sound of the car when it started up, that revving of the engine when it started. It's one of the things Ford was attempting to do with this commercial, and I think they did very well, and it's almost in many ways too bad that the commercial was banned, so we don't know whether it would have been successful or not. But when you think about the Ford Mustang is the everyday man's muscle car, and it's really not a muscle car. If you look at the size of the engine and the stats and the acceleration, it's really not all that impressive, but it's got this cachet and this brand of rugged individualism and freedom and bucking the trend and being anti-conformist, especially when you think about the Mustang being in the UK. If you've been in the UK, it is definitely a car that would have a very rebellious feel to it. And how Ford emotionally tried to bring that out in this commercial. Let's listen to how they've used the sound of the engine in comparison to the speed the car is moving.
Against the dying of the light.
This huge, powerful noise that just makes you, God, I want to get in that car and drive that car, and yet it's just really gently driving down the road. And look, Ford's not the only one who's done this. Harley-Davidson has made a fortune off of this same idea of really capturing the sound and making the sound really a big part of the emotional appeal of the product, and make it that aspirational thing that you want to have and identify with and purchase. Ford and other manufacturers, when they're creating their product, they're very conscious of this. There's no reason for a Ford Mustang to sound like that. There's no reason for a Harley-Davidson motorcycle to sound the way that it sounds. But what they know is that sound creates part of the emotional appeal and desire and connection and self-identification with the product. And look, as crazy as that is, there's supercars out there like McLaren and whatnot where there's settings, so when you're driving in the car, for how the car will sound in the compartment when you're driving. You can set it for quiet, or you can set it for sporty, or you can set it for all these other things, because what they've all recognized is that that's a big part of where the emotional connection comes from. The sound, the full experience. And you have to be thinking about that when it comes to your products as well. And as well, the advertising. What sounds do you want to convey? What emotions do you want to convey? Look, if you're selling something that's a place that's fun and loud and eventful, things have got to sound fun and loud and eventful. If you're selling something that's quiet and romantic, it needs to sound quiet and romantic. You need to tap into those senses to draw out those emotions to create really powerful ads.